Excellent. Very, very warm welcome to everybody and very good afternoon. And welcome along to our Business Spotlight interviews. My name is Ron Maycock. I'm the owner of Action Coach Castleford and also of Business Performance UK. And I'm delighted this afternoon to be joined by Georgia Halston. Georgia, very good afternoon to you.
Hi, Ron. Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem at all. Now, Georgia is the Group CEO of the Halston Group, and we're going to be hearing a lot more from her in just a few moments. Before we do that, though, just really wanted to explain what the purpose of these interviews actually is. We're surrounded by some amazing businesses in our region, and they've each on their own journeys, if you like, and they've got their own stories to tell. So these interviews actually help us showcase their journeys, showcase their business, and actually increase awareness of what they're actually doing. And it's all done in the name of abundance so that more people can actually hear about all of their antics and what they actually provide as a service. Now, it's not just for the UK. We do these interviews internationally. So it does have a global reach as well. We're doing these in the States and over in Australia as well. So it's not just about the UK. But without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Georgia, who's going to tell us a lot more about the Halston Group.
Yeah, so Halston Group in its current form has existed for about 2 years. We initially were Halston Marketing, B2B specialist marketing agency that was launched coming up 7 years ago. In 2020, we had quite a transformative year in terms of new business, and we acquired another company called Sustainability Partnerships. Since then, we also launched Tech Origin, which is an online technology publication for the news and views of upcoming tech trends, as well as Mercury, which is our events brand.
Right, excellent. So is there 3 companies and 4 brands, or is it 4 companies?
Technically, there's 2 limited companies, which Halston Marketing Limited and Sustainability Partnerships Limited. Tech Origin and Mercury are brands under the Halston Group banner.
Excellent. So the sustainability seems to be a little bit of a key buzzword in industry at the moment. So just explain a little bit more about the sustainability side of the business.
So Sustainability Partnerships was an acquisition in 2020 from a business who wasn't doing well during the pandemic. So we acquired them out of liquidation. A guy had been running what was then called the Sustainability Day of Action with the NHS for 7 years and had built up a database of over 1,800 decision makers within the NHS. Generally within procurement, who were looking for sustainable alternatives. It's a real simple business model. We have companies who are looking to disrupt the NHS procurement ladders with new and innovative sustainable alternatives to what they're currently using across the entirety of the NHS, from digital to communications to nutrition, smart buildings, anything that you can think of that would make our NHS a little bit more sustainable. We showcase them within our events, our content, and everything that we have running with that brand, and get you in front of NHS decision makers to kind of circumvent what is really convoluted sales process.
So is that for the benefit of other businesses that are looking to provide their services to the NHS? So you're taking over the control or affecting the introduction of those into that supply chain, into the framework agreements or whatever it may be?
Yeah, exactly that. And it benefits both the procurer, because there's so much more on us on procuring green within the NHS than there ever has been in the past. Which means that people who didn't really ever have that on us on their shoulders now have an extra job on their plate. It's easy for people to get new suppliers into the NHS. It's not easy for procurement managers to do the research to find alternatives to the incumbents they've been working with for years and years. They don't have the time and they don't have the bandwidth. So working with us, coming onto our webinars, coming onto our website, listening to our comms, coming to our events, it gives them access to a broad range of brands and products and services that they don't have to sit and research themselves, and they wouldn't necessarily have ever heard of or had access to.
Yeah. And it's that great unknown. This has only become flavour of the month or a key requirement for them to source in the last few years. They might have got X amount of years of just going, well, this is how procurement works in the NHS, and that's how it's always been. core frameworks, and anything over a certain amount has to go through that. So really interesting. There'll be people watching this, hopefully, that will be saying, that sounds amazing. That sounds like an opportunity for us to make inroads, gain some traction into the NHS with our services, all based on sustainability. So really, really interesting. So you said that the main part of the business, or the original part, was on B2B marketing as a marketing agency, but has also led into some event side as well. So just expand a little bit more on that.
So Halston Marketing, when it was launched, was specifically for B2B. It's now been rebranded as Halston B2B because it's a little bit more specific, that it's mainly for search and for people to understand that it's definitely a B2B agency. There's a bit of a dichotomy in terms of the customer base. We either work with super high tech, from everything from industrial IoT, green tech, fintech, ed tech, no code, SaaS, big data, satellite data, those types of really not just technical but scientific technologies. And then on the other side is heavy industry, so manufacturing, fabrication, supply chain, life sciences, and infrastructure.
And in terms of the marketing that you provide, is this digital footprint, and traditional footprint, exhibitions, things like that, or is this purely a digital marketing offering?
So we don't do a lot of above the line. So I mean, we've done some out of home. I guess we do brochures and sales literature and design up white papers and research that goes to print. We also do the exhibition kind of side of things, but really the real value comes from understanding a genuine holistic strategy, right? So we'll have clients where we come in, understand their target audiences, understand the pain points and the personas of their buying audience, but also look at what they have coming up for the year, what their business aims are, what their commercial aims are, what their sales targets and sales strategies are, and create marketing campaigns that work above, below the line, whatever it is that they need, that's all encompassing and entirely strategic based on what they want to achieve as a business.
So with the heavier industry, I'm going to make an assumption here that these are established businesses rather than a technology-based innovation. So they have a footprint. Are you working alongside a typical marketing department, or are you positioning yourself as an outsourced marketing solution?
So both. And I think that you're right. On the tech side, we have worked with clients from literally startup to acquisition. And we worked with them from university spin-outs to blue chip companies when it comes to tech. When it comes to the traditional industrial businesses, you're right in thinking that they do have some kind of heritage most of the time, particularly the ones that we work with in Yorkshire. Saying that, no matter the size, sometimes they just don't have a marketing facility in-house at all, and we're working in directly with the MD and creating entire strategies for them and implementing absolutely everything from the website to the social media to the content to the PR to the events to sales brochures to absolutely everything. It just completely depends what they already have in-house. Like I say, that I feel that within Halston B2B, because we are unbelievably specialist and niche within markets that I think a lot of other agencies wouldn't find as interesting as we do, we're in a unique position to be able to give value from a strategic level and not just a sort of downstream tactical marketing output level.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And with this sort of the high tech side of things, am I right? I'm making a big assumption, and if you moved your head slightly over to the left, I think we'd be able to see the whole of the banner behind you. The other way, my left, your right. There we go. So the medtech innovation, and I saw the Nexus bit, which is obviously, for those who don't know, a technology spin-off, how you commercialize a lot of offerings, I guess, from Leeds University. It was how do you get these technologies into the market rather than just being a thought process within a university. So we're just looking at the banner behind you. It's obviously all about medtech innovation and nexus and university spin-offs and everything to do with the innovation industry. I take it it's an event hosted by the Halston Group. So tell me a little bit more about the work that you're doing in the high-tech sectors and the events that you put on.
Yeah, sure. So Halston Group, we're positioning ourselves as thought leaders in things like innovation. And we run huge research pieces. We do probably 2 a year. The last one we did was on green tech and clean tech. The most recent one we published is on medtech. We don't generally tend to do events off the back of our research papers. We have them there as free resources. We have people engage with them. We have people collaborate on them with us, and we have them there as a resource for people to download and have free to an understanding of a market. The medtech one's a little bit different. We took it down to a big event that they were running at Cambridge Uni. If you know anything about medtech, pharma, that kind of thing, it's really the place that you want to be. So we went to a conference. The guys that were putting that on, Health Tech Connect, were really interested in our research and wanted to collaborate with us. So we came up with a concept of the UK medtech innovation assembly, which we are running on the 2nd of November. Since we decided to collaborate with the Umbrella Association in Cambridge, we've spoken to medtech ecosystems from around the rest of the country. So we're speaking to those in Scotland and in Edinburgh and in Glasgow. We've got Helix in Newcastle. We're speaking to Medilink Midlands. We're speaking to Lancaster University, Manchester medtech ecosystem, and we're bringing together different medtech ecosystems from around the country to talk about how we can collaborate. The government have a real push for and an ambition for the UK to become a specialist in tech. And it's not surprising, since in years gone by, we were known for things like specialist manufacturing. A lot of that stuff that that primary kind of innovation has left the UK, and we're struggling to find out what exactly we're famous for. We are trying to reach that ambition of technology being the jewel in our crown, and I think that's a really good strategy for us as a nation. But what gets in our way is the fact that we're siloed in terms of our city regions. If you speak to someone in America, they're working with people from across different states, and that working from hundreds of miles away. We're one little island, we're one tiny little island, and yet we still don't collaborate cross city. Medtech is a place where it's very, very important. It's the most important type of technology that we do. And we're still reinventing the wheel from one city region to the next. And what we really want to do is remove those barriers, create genuine connection and collaboration, and create value between the different medtech ecosystems from around the UK, come together and see where we can actually start to collaborate to make us that superpower and compete on a global stage when it comes to technology, specifically around health. So
yeah,
that's
an interesting one. I'm guessing a lot of the innovation and the ideas actually come from consultants that work within the medical professions, and they will get something designed to further, to an extent, self-serving their own skill set, or develop some technology that's going to make their life easier. And that inherently, yes, it has to be signed off, on a wider scale, but that sort of drive of the individual does mean that it's being developed in a silo. So you'll have certain areas that are really strong on audiology, or you'll have other areas that are on a different technology. And it just stems from, they've got a relationship with a local university, they're probably doing some development R&D, and then they've funded some projects. And from that, next minute you've got this commercialized offering, or not, as the case may be. So I think it's an inherent problem rather than one that's a quick fix. It's just how we're set up. But I strongly agree. I mean, certainly from prior knowledge of the pharmaceutical sectors, we still are a global leader in R&D. Not so much in the actual manufacture of,
Yes.
but in the R&D, we are still the global leader. And a lot of the big pharma companies have invested in the R&D into the UK, but then moved the actual manufacturing elsewhere, which, changes the landscape of traditional markets, but it still gives us a future and a very strong position moving forward. So you've sort of evolved. You said that you're a specialist marketing company, that you have really taken on sectors that are quite unique and therefore give you a differentiator. What's next?
So, I mean, in the next couple of weeks, we've got Leeds Digital Festival. I'm running a panel on how to sell your tech business, because we've had a very successful case study where we started from literally day one with a client, and 6 years later, they've now had a huge buyout by an Israeli business. So we're working with a few different consultancies in Leeds to run that panel. We then have No Code Hack. So No Code Lab is another initiative that I run with a friend of mine who runs a consultancy in Leeds called Pan Intelligence. She and I run this outside of Halston Group. So other than all the other brands that I've just talked about, that's a separate initiative that we run where we talk about the virtues of the no-code movement and how technology should be in the hands of the many rather than the few, and how building blocks of technology can be quite easily put together without the reliance or knowledge of code. So we're doing a hack on net zero, so that then harks back to how sustainability really is a thread within pretty much everything that we do in business. We then have another event on aerospace innovation as part of Leeds Digital Festival. So that's another area that we're really, really keen to add to with our roster. Not to mention, it's just super cool to learn about space or aviation. It's just, right within our wheelhouse. So we're running an event on the future of innovation in aerospace. As part of Leeds Digital Festival. The month of October will probably be me absolutely just smashing everything out that you can possibly think of to make sure that we get a lot of people to our MedTech Innovation Assembly, filling out that day. It's a long day. It's 8:30 till 6. We've got panels on AI, child health tech, cyber security. We've got a sports tech panel. We've got Olympians, Paralympians. We've got people from across every kind of multidisciplinary sector of medical technology that you can imagine. So it really is sort of taking over my life currently, making sure that we're getting both delegates and speakers from around the country, if not the world, to make sure that that really is like a jewel in the crown of the Leeds landscape this year. What's next? We're just building out further and further, especially the B2B marketing agency, just entrenching our footprint in those industries that we are specialists in, and just sort of growing year on year with the team, and seeing just the breadth of what it is that we can do.
Yeah, no, it's exciting times, and the great thing is you've carved out a niche. You're now looking to take that niche and expand it, and actually the niche in itself is not that constrained. Anything technology opens up a huge opportunity to link different markets and things like that. Just of interest, do you see the events and sort of showcasing keynote speakers and knowledge bases as the main leveraged way of moving forward, or is that just one of the strategies that you see as key to your growth?
Yeah, it's one of the main strands, particularly within technology. I think that when you speak to the types of businesses that we work with, whether it is high tech or even if it's manufacturing, there's always reticence around, do these guys actually know what they're talking about? So we have to constantly be proving our knowledge base in very, very niche industries to show potential clients that we are up to the job. We've just built a website for a company called Aquaspersions, they, as most very technical manufacturers, put us through our paces to see if we could actually get our heads around what aspersion is. And their website is unbelievably technical, because it has to be. They sell into the plastics industry, and they are working on very scientific molecule-based science, and it's for my staff to be able to write competently an entire website, let alone the actual services and products. And they always come round once they realize that we actually know what we're talking about. But it's a constant battle, and I don't see it's something that we're ever going to not face as an agency with the types of industries that we target. But we're always up to the challenge, and constantly running these events, creating these white papers, showing that we are thought leaders in some of the most technical industries in the world. It just gives more, fuel to our flame to say, yeah, we can take on pretty much anyone.
Absolutely. I'm guessing this is becoming, or is under threat of becoming, very much an international offering rather than just in the UK. There's no reason why technology doesn't span across multiple different borders. So
the same with manufacturing. The first client that we ever brought on, it was PPG. Now they own Johnson's Paints and another one in the UK, but they're a 15 billion turnover Fortune 500 company from Pittsburgh. That was the first client I ever brought on 7 years ago. We've always been international. We had clients in Napa Valley and Venice, and the Czech Republic, Lithuania, the Netherlands. We've always done things. We've never just been parochial to the UK or to Yorkshire.
Yeah, no, which which is great to hear, and it highlights the benefit of this going out to not just the UK but to wider audiences, and the ability of people to see things on YouTube these days or whatever. It doesn't matter where you're based, as long as they get the message, and that's the main thing. So that's actually bringing us towards the end of the interview. Just going to sense check with yourself, Georgia, just to find out if there's anything that you'd like to add or anything we've not covered.
No, I mean, honestly, because my brain is so much in this MedTech event, I think that we've probably covered that off at least. But yeah, that's the group sort of covered as a whole, and our ambition, I think.
No, absolutely. Well, it's been a fascinating share, and especially with the different strands of the business. We'll be taking a couple of conversations offline of saying, right, have you spoken to these people? Let me introduce you to a few people that could certainly benefit from either your services or interacting with this share of knowledge that you're sort of participating in at the moment. So that does bring us to the end of the formal part of the interview. So all that remains to be said is a big thank you for Georgia for sharing your journey. It's been very insightful, and watch this space. It looks like it's going to be a very exciting few years ahead. So thank you for sharing that. Also, just a quick message out to everyone who might be watching this. If you're like Georgia and you want to share your journey, your business journey, and increase your exposure and brand awareness, then simply get in touch. When we post these videos, there will be instructions of how to get in touch, how to book yourself in, and I'll be more than happy to take you through the process of showcasing you and your business. So as a final sort of sign off, big thank you again to Georgia, and thank you for all of you watching yet another of our Business Spotlight interviews. We'll see you soon. Take care.